Good afternoon and welcome to The Rundown. I'm your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 29th of September. The former Louisville cop pleads not guilty to charges related to Breonna Taylor's shooting. If convicted, Brett Hawkinson faces up to 5 years in prison. Black families average less than 15% of wealth of white families, the Fed reports. The findings underscore how different racial groups enter the coronavirus pandemic on uneven footing. Trump's 2016 campaign targeted more than 3.5 million Black Americans to deter them from voting. And a man spent donations to the Black Lives Matter movement on himself, prosecutors say. $70,000 on hairstyling, Donald Trump's taxes in numbers. Here's are some of the surprising things you'll learn about the U.S. president's finances. And a story from last year, a 9-year-old who was killed in an accidental shooting in Wichita. Let's get to the news. Brett Hankerson, the only officer to be indicted in the Breonna Taylor case, pleaded not guilty to his charges during a telephone court appearance Monday afternoon. Hankerson, who was fired from the Louisville Metro Police Department back in June, was hit with 3 counts of wanton endangerment in the first degree just last week for shooting into the apartment of Taylor's neighbor during the March 13th incident. And for that, if convicted, he could face up to 5 years in prison. However, during the phone hearing, Hankerson only spoke to indicate that he was initially present and alerted the judge, Annie Bailey Smith, that his attorney, Stuart Matthews, had not called into the conference. Matthew phoned in a few minutes later and entered a not guilty plea for his client. The judge set the bond at $15,000 and mandated 2 stipulations: that Hankerson attend every court hearing, even if it is viral, and that the former officer give up all of his firearms. Matthew, the attorney for Hankerson, asked the judge to reconsider the firearm stipulation, considering that his client has received numerous threats and needed his weapons for self-defense purposes. The judge declined his request, however. She said, and I quote, "People in this court who are charged with offenses with firearms do not and are not allowed to possess firearms as part of their bond." The pre-trial date is set for October 28th. Good afternoon, welcome. And welcome to The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, once again. And this is the segment that we all love, where I get to talk about the articles of this afternoon. Before we get started, let's just handle some business. And first say, of course, welcome to The Rundown. To any new subscribers and watchers of the channel, welcome. Hopefully you like and enjoy. Make sure, if you do, you hit that notification button so you never miss another update of what's going on here at Cap Hill, as well as like, share, subscribe, share it out, share it to the people, because that's the only way the message kind of gets out. And to my state reps, of course, that's you in the chat, welcome. It's always a pleasure to have you here. We always have fun, good time, and always talk about the issues flat out and just unadulterated. So let's get into it and have some fun. All right. This first story is about one of the officers, the only officer who had any charges in the Breonna Taylor case. All right. I know. All right. pipe down, pipe down. So yeah, the officer who has been charged with the Walton endangerment or entanglement charge was basically, he got charged for shooting blindly and hitting the neighbor's apartment, not even for possibly killing Breonna Taylor, but for hitting the neighbor. He's basically filed not guilty with his, his lawyer came in late, of course, as you may have, heard me say earlier, but if not, his lawyer came in late. They did a video court appearance, and he entered, he said he was present, and then he basically said that he hadn't, his lawyer hadn't phone conferenced in or video conferenced in. Then when the lawyer video conferenced in, he said, we do a plea of not guilty.
Say what?
Right. And at the same time, it's like, how could you even say that you're not guilty when in fact you did fire, and you fired blindly, shooting at any and everything? So you could have possibly even killed and injured someone. And the fact that you could clearly be all like, oh, you know what? No, not guilty. I'm not guilty of anything. That's even more of a slap in the face. Like
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It just,
winter is coming.
I don't get it. Like, I don't get it. When will winter get here so these people can actually get what they deserve? Like, it's too much. It is really, 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 really too much. That they get away with a lot of this, and this behavior continues because there's nothing calling it out. It's just really ridiculous. I mean, I want to understand
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
because I'm lost. Maybe I speak a different language. So he's basically saying that he's not guilty for what he actually did. New ballistics, like I said yesterday, had just come out that Breonna Taylor's boyfriend didn't actually shoot that cop. So either somebody shot the cop, one of the fellow police officers shot the cop accidentally, or one of them shot him on purpose so they would have a reason to then say that they took the force that they did, which wind up killing Breonna Taylor. Because any other way really don't make sense. And even if that was the case, that's exactly what they did, they further proved that even that probably was a lie, that they wind up probably shooting him on purpose to better the narrative that they were returning fire because they didn't fill out anything on the incident reports at all, let alone even the fact that they killed Breonna Taylor. Nothing was there. So all that cover up, obviously, for a reason. They didn't just do it because they forgot. They did it for a particular reason, and the reason was to try and get away with murder.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
And that's just, it is what it is. There's nothing more to say. I mean, it's nothing more to say. It's nothing else to it. It is what it is. They tried to get away with what they did, and it backfired on them. I'm just, a little bit saddened that that the family signed a deal. I really am, because I think the city and the state already knew that this was a lot worse, and they figured if they threw money at them and they can say, okay, well, if you take this money, you can't come back against us. This is it. Because they already knew the other stuff behind it, the cover up. And if all that leaked out, then yeah, everything would be different. So with them signing this deal, they won't be able to go back and do that. So, it's like playing in your face.
Fuck face.
It's definitely like playing in your face. But I don't know. I hope that,
Bitch.
will get what they deserve, all of them. And hopefully that young man will be able to move on with his life. I know that would be hard, but they're used to putting us through these traumatic situations and then wonder why these people cannot progress and move forward in life to do other things. It makes no sense. You put this much trauma on a person, how do you expect the person to continue to move forward and live and be a productive citizen with all this trauma?
Uh-oh, retard alert!
The average black family has less than 15% of the wealth of white families in 2019, a trend that barely budged despite the economic gains among minorities over the past 3 years, the Federal Reserve said on Monday. According to a federal survey for consumer finances conducted every 3 years, the median wealth of white families was about $188,200, compared with only $24,100 that for black families. The central bank economists attribute the gap to many complex societal, governmental, and individual factors that play out over the life cycle and across generations. The survey also examined the shift between 2019 and the previous snapshots in 2016, more broadly demonstrating the positive economic trends in the twilight years of the longest economic expansion in U.S. history. It showed that the median wealth grew across all races and slightly faster among black and Hispanic families than white families, as the unemployment rate dropped below 4% in the months prior to the pandemic, a dynamic often highlighted by President Donald Trump. But because non-white people were already starting from such a low level of wealth, the racial wealth gap hardly improved. Next article, but before I get into the article, do you want to hear a joke? You ready? Okay. So did you know that they're surprised that white families have been making more money than black families for centuries due to race disparities and other things? Really? What a joke. Really? Did you just find that out? Did you just find that out like today? You just found that out. That's awesome. Well, yeah. So it seems like the Fed, dun 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 dun,
Uh-oh, retard alert!
just discovered that due to racial disparities in sociologically, economically, education, and all these things have basically, there's been a gap of wealth between whites and blacks. And that even though there was a spurt of unemployment going all the way down to about the 4% numbers during the Barack Obama administration, which Barack handed to Trump
Uh-oh, retard alert!
in a bow before he left office.
God bless you!
And he, of course, destroyed it all, especially on top of this with this pandemic. So here we have it. He left him there with a good little chunk. The numbers were down. So, of course, black and brown people, Hispanic people, meaning brown, started to kind of climb up a little bit. However, the gap was so large, and it's so large that even the little increases that we've had for the past few years still did not make a dent in the amount that black families make and white families make.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Don't be rude.
Don't do that. But yes, that is very true. Upwards in the rears of $188,000 and some change to $24,000 and some change. That's a big difference. So yeah, crazy. But yeah, that's really what's going on. To me, of course, it sounds like a bunch of
Sounds like a lot of.
it does, because all of a sudden now you want to see that oh there's a difference, but you didn't care about the differences before. Now all of a sudden, I don't know what brought the attention to the differences. Maybe someone can clue that in the chat, but all of a sudden now we want to know a difference. So again, it makes me seem like, am I speaking English?
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
Because I've always known that you can see it in the neighborhoods. You can go from one side of the tracks and everything look one way. You can go to the other side of the tracks and everything looks another way. It almost looks like, it's almost like everybody hates Chris. Does everybody hate blacks? So I'm confused yet again. But, the only thing that can really bridge this gap is you would have to give those people a leg up. I mean, of course, a lot of people like to be like, oh, give them handouts. It's not about handouts. It's paying what you owe. It's paying what you owe and moving forward, and then allowing those people to then be able to catch up, and don't redline them and limit their access to things. So let's see if that happens. Donald Trump's 2016 U.S. presidential election campaign has been accused of actively seeking to deter 3.5 million Black Americans in battleground states from voting by deliberately targeting them with negative Hillary Clinton ads on Facebook. The secret effort concentrated on 16 swing states, several narrowing wins by Trump after the Black Democrat vote collapse. The claim has come far. An investigation by Channel 4 News, which was leaked a copy of a vast election database it says was used by the Trump campaign in 2016, comprising the records of 198 million Americans and containing details about their domestic and economic status. Acquired by the market research firm, the investigation claimed voters were segmented into 8 categories. According to the investigation, the Trump campaign's goal was to dissuade many from backing the Democrat entirely by targeting them with dark adverts on their Facebook feed, which heavily attacked Clinton and, in some cases, argued her lack of sympathy with African Americans. The effort is said to have been devised by the party and part by Cambridge Analytica, the notorious election consultant that seized trade last year following the revelation that it used dirty tricks to help win elections around the world, and had gained unauthorized access to tens of millions of Facebook profiles. And as always, I gotta do my disclaimer because this person is coming up, and I have to make sure that everybody knows this is a true one, because this is for this guy.
Uh-oh, retard alert!
So let's be wary. So now, so we have found out that this is an election season, and during this time all of the secrets, the bones, the skeletons in the closet, they all kind of come creeping out during an election time, right? Yeah, I know, it's like but then it's also like Christmas at the same time.
Oh, hell no!
Because you start like, wait, what? He did what? What, that happened? No, get out of here. And it's like, as the election turns. Right? So this particular story we're talking about who else but the Trump train.
Retard alert!
So they were, back in 2016, targeting African Americans. So much so, about 3.5 million of us. Yeah, can you believe it? And they were targeting us for what particular reason? The vote. So when we say, oh no, our votes don't count, it don't count,
Bruh.
let me tell you, it counts. It counts so much that they got 3.5 million of you not to vote. Because when you looked at Miss Hillary Rodham Clinton, what you said was,
Now vote that bitch. Vote that bitch.
not even giving her a chance a time of day, because you saw on Facebook, oh, that she was this and she was that, and you know, she did this and her and Bill did that. And it's like, okay, but her and Bill did nothing different than the other white predecessors before them. So, I mean, really, when we do the research, it's like, even a lot of our black politicians were pushing for this same kind of legislation at that time. So we definitely got to be mindful of what was going on around about that time and era, right?
You stupid.
Don't make it right, but these people were being,
You stupid.
and just throwing out laws just to make sure the cities were safe, because people were like running scared and
Jesus Christ.
clutching pearls and all kinds of mess and just screaming out
He needs some milk.
due to all the violence that was going on. So much so that, you know, she wound up calling us super predators, whatever that is.
Bye, Felicia.
Like a movie or something.
Boy.
So, anyway, moving fast forward from that, here we land ourselves in the election. So Facebook, darling Facebook, which is always in the mess, not in the mess, right? Sounds like some people in the YouTube beef sector that always talk about they're not in the mess, but they wind up being in the mess anyway. Yeah. So Facebook, totally neutral, was actually throwing out ads and getting paid by Russian bots to put out ads, which made Hillary Clinton look some type of way in a particular light, especially towards people of color. And again, so much so that 3.5 million people were targeted through everything, through what they watched on Facebook and what they purchased through the games and stuff.
Come on, people.
So yeah, they were going hard. They went hard, super hard. They kept going. And of course, all this came out during the Mueller report and other investigations. And of course, Trump all the time called it,
You are fake news.
and always said,
Wrong.
but in actuality, it was right. And they did do it. And they were successful at it.
What?
Yeah, I know, Little John, ain't that crazy? So here we are. It all comes out now after 4 years of all that.
You are fake news.
And all that talk. 4 years later, here we go. It's out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah, but the question is, at this point, do we really? Do we really? I mean, some of these people don't even care that he's done this.
And
But they should, because if they're really Republicans, devout Republicans as they claim to be, then they would care that someone tried to attack the democracy, and he would want to keep it
quiet.
so that, you know, he can continue to move forward. Him, the AG Bill Barr, otherwise known as AKA. And so here we are, once again, zooming closer to November, and all of the bones and the skeletons are just falling out. And it just makes you,
Sweet Jesus.
ooh, it just makes you cringy. Just like, ooh, what's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? But, you know, all I can say is sometimes it's just,
Well, that comes under the category of too bad.
it's just too bad that, you know, all this stuff comes out. That's what happens in an election, especially when you're an incumbent president. But he didn't know anything about that because he was just running to run because he didn't even expect to win. But now that he's here, he's here. So we'll see how this turns out. If people actually take notice to it, I hope they do. I wish they do. But part of me says,
Oh, hell no!
that they won't. But it's up to us to really make a stand and let the people know, like, hey, you may have got to vote the first time. You may have got people not going out to vote and participating in the election the last go around. But it's been too many deaths, too much going on to the point where we can no longer ignore that, right? So he can no longer be considered
I am the chosen one.
because he's not. The donations poured in this summer as Black Lives Matter marchers surged through the streets of Atlanta and across the country, protesting the use of excessive force by police and demanding more action to scrub out a deep stain in institutional racism. Donors gave $36,493 in June to an organization that called itself the Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. In July, it took in $370,934, and in August, it took in $59,915. The money the group said would go to support the movement. However, instead, federal investigators found out that the money was spent on nights out, nice clothes, and the man running the organization, Sir Major Page, appeared on social media wearing tailored suits with cufflinks and ties that he bragged cost $150. Staying in luxury hotel rooms, he also used the donated money, the authorities say, to buy a house and land, not in Atlanta, but actually where he lives in Toledo, Ohio. Mr. Page, age 32, was charged by federal prosecutors on Friday with 1 count of wire fraud and 2 counts of money laundering. Mr. Page, who is also known as Tyree Conyers Page, was arrested on Friday and appeared in federal court but was released on a $10,000 bail. Hey, this is Captivating Christian here to remind you to tune in to Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Politics and Wellness every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Now, this particular story, sometimes I only leave that special warning up for a particular person, but this person also deserves the...
retard alert!
So, it looks like one of the organizers for the Black Lives Matter chapter, quote-unquote chapter, in Atlanta, wind up taking a lot of the donations that they were getting up to, and they received us about $450,000 and spending it on their private stuff.
Shit.
Yeah. Now, let's just before we go into the details of the stuff, let's just put our caps on a little bit, right?
Damn!
And let's just think about some things. You're in an organization and or group in which the President of the United States and his Fred Flintstone buddy, it's coming, and he can say that I'm
wrong
all he wants, but he knows it's true, that his Fred Flintstone buddy, otherwise known as the AG Bill William Barr, have been targeting the Black Lives Matter movement since its conception, and calling it a terrorist group, all types of stuff, really going after it, really considering it even worse than the Ku Klux Klan or any other white supremacist group.
Oh, hell no!
Yeah, right. Like, who would believe that? But he has. So, what would make this numbskull think that he could take those funds and then go shopping and do all kinds of other craziness is beyond me.
Oh, hell no!
I guess so. I guess, maybe was a little late to the party to tell him, what are you doing?
Run, bitch! Run!
That, don't do that. Do something else. Don't use that money to do that. Don't do that.
Shut up and take my money!
People giving you the money to do something right with it, to do what you claimed you were going to do with it. And instead, you not only was buying clothes and $150 or $200 ties, whatever it was. He bought land.
You stupid.
And a house.
You stupid.
But where did he buy it? Not in Atlanta, in Toledo, Ohio, where he's originally from.
You stupid.
And of course, with buying all those things and at such a rate, right? And truth be told, anything greater than $10,000, I know he didn't know this.
You stupid.
Because that's why. But anything greater than $10,000, the feds will put you on a list and start watching you.
Shit.
To be mindful of where this money is coming from.
Bruh.
They'll do it to you, but they won't do it to the President of the United States.
Shit.
I'll wait.
Bruh.
But anyway, at any rate, so that happened. And he bought the house, and he bought all this other kind of stuff. He bought the land, he bought the house. And then, of course, what did the feds do?
Gotcha, bitch.
Because they were waiting. Okay, they were waiting. They were watching that bank account grow and grow and grow. And they was waiting, seeing his little purchases here and there. The little suits, the little cufflinks, the hotel stays and stuff like that. They were looking at it, but not as sharply. Why? Because you can always excuse that away. Land purchases, house purchase, that's big time.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
So, of course, that would bring their attention. And they were already looking at you because they wanted a reason to dismantle this movement.
You stupid.
And you gave it to them.
You're a fucking piece of shit.
So, with that, there you have it. He's been ordered to court. That doesn't start until sometime later. He had a bail. It was posted. And so we'll see what happens. But he can cancel his
Bye, Felicia.
Black Lives Matter Atlanta chapter. Hopefully somebody can pick it up and maybe salvage it, because there's a lot that is needed in the community that people don't need to be stealing from ourselves. And that's the crazy retardedness part of this. How could you sit there and steal from your own people, but you won't steal from the ones that have taken and raped your own communities? That's the part that I don't get about any of this. The shocking claim that President Donald Trump paid only $750 in federal taxes has dominated the headlines after the New York Times report into his financial affairs, but it's far from only surprising some exposed by the document. Here are some of the key figures. He paid $750 in federal tax Trump paid back in 2016 when he won the presidency. He also paid $750 in federal tax Trump paid the following year. He paid zero federal tax was paid by Trump in 10 of the previous 15, including in 2014 and 15. By comparison, the kind of figures regularly paid in federal income tax by Trump's predecessor, Barack Obama and George H.W. Bush, was about $100,000 a year. Paid to style Trump's hair for television, claimed expenses to be around $70,000. The total sum of 9 of the Trump companies have paid as expenses to style Ivanka Trump's hair is about $95,000, $464. The amount written off as expenses to hire a photographer taking photographs at Mar-a-Lago's club is about $210,000. Consulting fees charged as a business expense between 2010 and 2018, at least some of which appear to have been directed to a company co-owned by Ivanka Trump, $26 million. What Trump declares his earnings to be in 2018 presidential public annual finance disclosure was $434 million. What he declared to the Internal Revenue Service, otherwise known as the IRS, for tax purposes over the same period was losses in the amount of $47.4 million. Outstanding loans that Trump owes, most of which becomes due within the next 4 years, is totaling around $421 million. Revenue generated from outside of the U.S., presenting a potential conflict of interest with U.S. foreign policy, is about $73 million. An earned-in-one licensing deal for the Trump Towers in Istanbul, including a $1 million since he became president, that was at $13 million. The tax refund Trump claimed he was awarded, which is now the subject of a decades-long audit battle with the IRS. It covers all federal taxes he had paid between 2005 to 2008, all totaling $72.9 million. The annual average amount of the federal tax paid by Trump between 2000 and 2007 and 2000 and 2017, it compares with the $25 million in federal income tax the average American with a similar declared earning could expect to pay. He only paid $1.4 million. The amount Trump could now have to pay back to the IRS, including penalties if fined against him in the audit, could range anywhere between $100 million. The sum reported loss by Trump's golf courses since 2000 have been $315 million. Trump's lawyer for the Trump Organization claims that the president has paid in personal taxes since 2015 in the tens of millions. And the number of individual companies, many bearing the Trump name, that make up the corporation network, generally referring to the Trump Organization, are more than 500 companies. All right, and in this article, I'm not going to go back over all of the tax stuff or whatever. I did that in the news segment, so if you missed it, you can just go back or just get my little brief synopsis of rundown of this particular article. So this, of course, is about
retard alert.
The president, of course. I know. But it is what it is. So this is what has happened. So for the longest time, he's been trying to for the longest time, he's been trying to hold off on his taxes, right? Say, oh, they're under audit, under audit, under audit, under audit, under audit. He's been saying this the whole time.
What?
I know, but, in actuality, he wasn't under audit. He was just keeping them hidden.
It's all fake news. It's phony stuff.
But it did happen. And you know what happened? Somebody got a hold of those taxes and sent it to the news.
FBI, open up!
And so what happened here is a little bit of Trump's dirtiness, the stuff that we kind of already knew, because remember back in 2016, something leaked out about his taxes a little bit, and then he had to come with all this stacks of paper and say, see ya, we're under audit, which was, of course, BS, but, they went along with it, and the Republicans kept quiet, and they let him continue to go on. So then he becomes president, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So he went around talking about how wealthy he is, which he's really not. He owes a hell of a lot of money to many people. They don't really know to whom, but they know he owes, right? And most of it is coming due. So, and if any of you are really into a lot of the mafia movies and all that kind of stuff,
Sweet Jesus.
We already know what the hell would happen if these type of Russian mafias like the Vladimir Putins and all those others that helped him don't get their money.
What?
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes, because
Hello?
I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Come on, people.
I want a front row seat. I'm here for all of it, because if he owes it, they're gonna want it, and if they don't get it,
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah, because somebody's going to need to help them. Somebody's really going to need to help them, because if them Russians don't get their money or get whatever it is that they was asking for from him in order to help him skate on through and get rid of his debts, then he's going to need...
He needs some milk.
To keep it moving. But anyway, yes. So, but on a serious note, though, the fact that this president can told how wealthy he is, not really care about the American people, how everyday working people have paid more in taxes than the president of the United States right now, should bring anybody to worry, to reconsider your loyalty and your allegiance to someone who doesn't care enough. And yeah, I know some people say, oh, well, he beat the system, he's smart enough to beat the system. How could he be smart enough to beat the system? Because if you tried it under his same guidelines, you'd be in jail right now. So who's smart? Who's smart? It's not because he's smart. Yeah, we know it's because he's, because he had a little money and was able to finagle some things, because, money gets people to, okay, hand them a couple of dollars or do a couple extra favors, and people look the other way. Granted, we get that. All right. But does that make it right? Because the everyday person won't be able to do that. And even wealthy people who have more money than you or I still got put in jail for the same kind of infractions. So what makes him any different? But when you look closer, you see that they happen to be skin folk, though, that really wind up getting those kinds of big troubles. Like I said yesterday, you look at the Wesley Snipes, the Little Kims, Lauryn Hill. They went to jail.
My man.
They went to jail. So, is it not because he's Donald Trump?
Because you'd be in jail.
Because if you're not, of course you will be in jail. But I don't understand. Like, what's the deal? There's no way he should have been able to get away with what he's gotten away with. No way at all. No way.
Don't be rude.
And it's not even about being rude. It's straight fact. Anybody else would be in jail right now.
I am the chosen one.
I mean, really?
Oh, hell no!
And be sure to join Jay Wilson, Rebel Son, The Official Kingpin, Conscious TV, and Captivating Christian this and every Thursday at 6:45 Central Standard Time, 7:45 Eastern Standard Time for the Gentleman's Panel, where we are not afraid to go there and discuss an array of topics. See you there. This particular last story, in all seriousness, as well as again, this story was brought to my attention by another content creator, Official D-Spot. He did an interview with this young brother's mother. And I really quickly tried to do some research, and I thought it would be a great way for me to utilize my platform to at least kind of bring some attention to this shooting that happened over a year ago in Wichita, where a 9-year-old boy was accidentally, quote unquote, killed by a friend of his. All right. So it was a 9-year-old boy. His name was Royal Spencer. Right. He was at a friend's house along with his 16-year-old. It says sister here in the article. I believe the mother said brother. So I just want to clarify that. And if you can, after this, you can head over to Official D-Spot's interview with the mother and kind of get a feel on that. Actually, I actually shared it in my community wall, so that way, hopefully you've watched it. But the Wichita police said a 9-year-old boy, the family identified as Royale Spencer, died from injuries from an accidental shooting while visiting a friend in the southern part of Wichita. Police say that the investigation revealed that Spencer was visiting his 11-year-old friend who lived in a mobile home park at the 2200 block of East MacArthur, where the shooting had happened. The mother went on to say in this particular interview that a lot of things were covered up. A lot of things weren't exposed to the family until later. She tried to hire in private investigators, and they gave her the runaround. It was basically a lot of cover up. The young man who wound up shooting her son was a white kid, the 11-year-old, who was actually not his friend, not her son's friend. Her son's friend was actually another kid that left to go to his mother's job with her. So the 11-year-old boy was not actually his friend, but the police, of course, tried to, in the report as well as this news article, tried to paint it out to be that way. There were other children in the house at that time, and they were unsupervised, ranging from 9 years old to 16 years old. They had a gun cabinet that they said malfunctioned, but the mother of the young man said that the gun cabinet was utterly unlocked. They said it was malfunctioning, but it was just unlocked and open, and it's always been that way. They said they thought, the report is saying that they thought it was a BB gun. It was mistaken for a BB gun that the 11-year-old placed into the young man's mouth and shot it. However, the mother also described the particular gun that was used is one of those pump shotguns, to where in which he would not know how to use it in order to fire it correctly. So there's a lot of inconsistencies with this story. Just like Breonna Taylor, in this case, there was no charges filed. The young man who shot him got to walk away freely. The family shortly, hicked it out of town. And like the mother was saying, if it was truly an accident, then why would you not show up to the memorial? Why would you not, do all these things to actually show your sincerity that, this was an accident. I'm so sorry. It's almost as if he was playing around, he did it, and then, because of course, when they're kinfolk to them, they always look at them as, oh, we don't want to ruin the rest of their lives. I don't want to ruin the rest of their life. They did a mistake and had an accident, but it shouldn't ruin the rest of their life. We've all been that age before. Prime example, Donald Trump Jr. praising the 17-year-old kid who took it upon himself to the 7-year-old thug, let's call it like it is, who took it upon himself to go down to the area of the protest and talk about he was defending the area, which he lived 2 hours away. So what the hell was he defending? I don't know. But anyway, that always seems to be the case. They do something criminal and quickly you want to protect their image and protect them so their life won't be in danger. However, there's tons of kids that look like many of my relatives who spend many years in jail for the smallest of infractions just because you don't care what our futures may look like. You figure that our futures will be dependent upon what we've done, and for that we deserve to be in prison for as long as humanly possible by law. So please definitely look up this story. I know they have a GoFundMe kind of thing going on for trying to get body exhumed to do another autopsy, some more information and evidence to be released, police reports, because I know she mentioned something about a police report video or something that actually costs money, that the police, of course, are charging her for, and the simple fact that we all know that due to the George Floyd and the Breonna Taylors and the so on and so forth, that once that media attention goes to those small towns, it causes them to move. And so we want to make sure that any little thing we can do to move this forward and actually get some questions answered for this family and many other families, that we will do here at CCN TV. And I'm hoping that my fellow YouTubers will kind of come together and highlight this story in some way to bring attention to their audiences as well, so then we can really kind of help, and really bring closure to a lot of these unsolved, brushed under the table kind of situations, because we don't want another Breonna Taylor. This young man should not have died without no one receiving any charges for an accident. That if it wasn't truly an accident, or even if it was truly an accident, that there's no reason for all those guns to be in the house, unsupervised, unlocked. So there's nothing there that can be done. I mean, we know in many states in which if the parent is not home and something happens in the house, most of the time the parents are responsible. And the fact that the parents weren't even held liable for what happened to this young man is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Because at the end of the day, at least the parents should be held liable to where the family would be able to seek restitution for what happened to her son through that family. And the fact that she can't even do that is ridiculous. So I'm just saying, my prayer is that I hope this brightens your kind of wheels going to do more research, look into it, and if there's anything you can do to help, that would be greatly appreciated. And also tonight it will be the first debate Please make sure that you tune in here at Cap Hill, where we'll be reviewing a special P&W on the debate. Alright, so it'll be a live chat with the debate and all that good stuff, and we will be having a good old political time. But until later on tonight, peace and blessings, and thank you. And once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification